Okavango, Rasdada, Yaga, Stockfender, the living fire represent to the fullest. See? Perfect balance. Don't know.
Is Africa finally breaking free from Western influence? The Trump administration's decision to put all USAID staff on administrative leave could be a blessing in disguise. What does this mean for Africa's future? This is the Perfect Balance Trodclass. I am Ras Dada, and with me you have Okavango, the Rebel Guru,
Yeah,
Bingi, and Yaga, aka Teacher Ma'at. Join us as I and I explore the real impact of foreign aid, Burkina Faso's bold leadership under Ibrahim Traore, and why self-reliance is Africa's true path forward. This is the Perfect Balance Short Class, where we decode global events through a Pan-African lens. Wagwan, my lads?
Yes, I give thanks for life.
yeah,
There,
big
we're
Yeah,
thanks.
there,
give
you know.
thanks. It's a great
Wake
energy.
up, Africa. Rise up, Africa.
Rise up, rise up.
Nice up.
Yeah,
We
man, rise up every time.
we want to talk about another of the impacts which Trump has, effected since his reinstatement as president.
Mhm.
Um, so the Trump administration has made a move that has many people talking. The USAID staff are being placed on administrative leave. For decades, USAID has been involved in Africa, claiming to support economic growth, health, and governance. But what is their real impact? Is this a loss for Africa, or is it an opportunity? Let's talk about what this actually means for our people and whether it's time to finally step away from dependence on Western aid. What do you them think about this situation?
Yeah, yes, Dada. Um, yeah, the eye onto something there, right? And we'll talk about aid, like, let's break it down. You know, aid itself is never free. So when I talk about aid come with a condition, right? But if we look at it historically, we see that foreign aid often keeps Africa in a cycle of dependency.
Mm-hmm.
So aid becomes this double-edged sword, right? Um, where on one hand you're giving, but you're giving under these conditions then, right? Loans come with conditions and development programs, right? But these programs, they help shape Africa, right? They shape African people, or policies, I should say, towards the benefit of those who are actually giving the aid. So this aid that they keep talking about, I really don't know who it really benefits, right? Does it really benefit the African people? And when we're talking about USAID, we must keep in perspective the money that they're talking about in their budget, for example, is less than 1% of the American budget, So we're not talking about a big amount of money either. But not only that, if we look at it globally, this USAID and what America contributes, she contributes 17%, right? So as an individual country, she's contributing 17%. But yet the rest of the world is still contributing that 83%, right? Now, this thing comes with real conditions, right? So the benefits, right? Like we see, hey, it's already affecting countries like Sri Lanka, South Africa, for example, with medications, especially AIDS medication. So it's gonna have an impact. It is gonna have, because even though that's it seems like a minuscule number, 17%, is still big enough to make an impact. Overall, these aid systems, they don't really benefit the people on the ground, right? There is no advantage to getting aid then, right? So this now kind of gives Africa this opportunity to figure out now how to implement her own systems where she don't really have to depend
Depend on
on
aid.
these aids that they
Okay.
keep giving you with these conditions.
And that's what they
So,
hate do. It keep in a state of dependency.
yes,
Yeah, man.
yes. And that's what it is.
So, as Bingy was saying originally, right, where he said that you don't know if these things really help. So I'm gonna say that in the short term, they help in the short term. So like there's a famine and they're providing food. In that short term, it's assisting those people in that situation at the moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the long-term implications of getting
Mm-hmm.
this short-term aid vastly outweigh doing it some other way. So they'll say, okay, we're gonna give you food, but because we're gonna give you food, then you have to allow us access to these resources, or you have to give us this market, or you understand?
It's a
So
trade-off.
yeah,
It's
you
a
understand?
trade-off.
So they're giving you something that is a short-term um aid for a long-term
But the
resolution. You understand
trade-off
what I'm
is
saying?
really unbalanced. That's the whole point. It's
Unbalanced,
such an
right? That's the point. Right,
unbalanced
balance
trade-off.
trade-off. Right,
That's the whole thing.
right.
And another thing, you also stifle innovation too,
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
because
absolutely.
because people, if they're not getting that here, they're gonna
They're
find
gonna
some other
figure out
way to
ways
get
to
food.
solve their problem.
Yeah, they're
Mm-hmm.
gonna
They're
find
gonna
a way
figure out
to
ways to
stifle
solve their problem.
innovation.
Yes, man.
Mm-hmm.
True.
And
Because
True.
this,
so
Very true.
so in other words, what it does, it prioritizes the interests of Western cooperations
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
and restrict African sovereignty and development.
yes, I,
True. Real talk.
yes, I, yeah, man.
But what Bengia says still, you're definitely onto something because if we look at the Sahel region and what Tory is doing at the moment, we see that he's developing a lot of infrastructure in terms of agriculture where they are planting a lot of wheat. And this year
Mm-hmm.
they've had a bumper crop of wheat.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And also we've seen they've launched an electric car recently. So the black print again, I will talk about the black print all the time, that it is
Mm-hmm.
there to show other African leaders the things
The
that can
steps.
happen within the continent to develop the continent, set the continent free so that we don't have to rely on neo-colonial or Western colonial practices
Mm-hmm.
and trades that has been stifling for years.
While
Mm-hmm.
maintaining control of their
Control.
resources.
So USAID leaving Africa could be a very good thing because that means you have to learn to support your own industries. You have to learn to grow
Mm-hmm.
your
That we are
own
talking about, man. That we
Mm-hmm.
are talking
Mm-hmm.
about
agriculture. You have to
innovation.
learn to innovate. You
Yeah,
understand? So that it is
yeah,
within the core of your sovereignty and you don't need anyone to do that.
Right.
yes, I. And
Yeah.
as I've always been saying, like Africa, the best way to go is for African to solve African problems, and
Mm-hmm.
we need to look within Africa to solve those problems because we getting these free things from our whatever from outside. It's not solving the problem. It just make the problem like one place and it just maintain the problem. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? It just maintain
It's
it
a
and
band-aid.
yeah, a
It's a
bandit over it,
band-aid.
right? A bandit over it, and it's not going away. And all the help we need is in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
It's there in Africa. We just need to, I will say, innovate. We need to find the solution
Mm-hmm.
within the continent. You know what I
Right.
mean? Uh, and stop looking outside and bringing
Mm-hmm.
outside people because these people they're coming into Africa, they're coming for their own benefit. They're not no friends. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? They're coming for us to find
They're
something. There's
pushing their own
something
They
there.
interests.
want the
There is something there
minerals,
that they want.
they want
There's
the
They're
something.
pushing their own
resources,
interests. You
Resources.
know,
they
Yeah.
want the
Yaga said something
market.
earlier. Yaga said something earlier, right? Where he said that it's an opportunity, right? And I want us to realize that everything that happens in our lives creates an opportunity, whether an opportunity for good or an opportunity for bad. You understand? So the direction now that these African leaders take is what is gonna determine. So this is a critical point. It's like you're in a game of chess, and you have that critical move that could be determined whether you go win the game or you go lose the game. And that is the point where the African leaders are presently, because they can now either choose to say, okay, well, USAID cut off aid. Well, we're gonna check out the other 83% and see if we can get the aid over there. Or are we going to now look towards strengthening regional trade groups within the continent, Are we going to push for Pan-African policies that benefit Africans first? You understand? So these are the things now that are gonna determine whether it becomes opportunistic for the African people or it becomes a catastrophe. You
Right.
understand?
Yeah.
It's like we're at a crossroads where we have to now make that vital decision and make the right decision.
And then
No,
when you look at USAID itself, right, how it's
Mm-hmm.
structured too, right?
Mm-hmm.
The way USAID, if you really look into how it's structured, is really a jobs program, right? When you look at it,
Mm-hmm.
the jobs program, because remember this aid that they talk about, this money that they talk about, how does it really circulate to these countries in what form, shape, or fashion, right? All that money that the US gives, for example, the
Mm-hmm.
products that are under this aid program, for example, right? Your medication, transportation for medication,
Mm-hmm.
all of that has to come from America, you know. And it
yeah.
comes from non-profit organizations, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so even the way it's structured, right, that so-called aid that they giving you is all coming from here, according to
Mm-hmm.
the USAID
Mm-hmm.
structural laws or laws, right? Bylaws
Mm-hmm.
on how they give aid, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So even that is a jobs program. But if we look at what Trump is so-called doing or his administration is doing, is cutting these jobs programs.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's one of them that gets slashed, but it's a
Yeah.
very minute part of the American budget, to say the
Mm-hmm.
least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I noticed, not to stray from the argument too much, but I noticed that there's a special interest in South Africa. Like South Africa.
Elon Musk is a South African.
So that's what I want to get to.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Elon
Yeah,
Musk
them
is a
think
South
that is
African.
Elon Musk, while the focus is so much on South Africa, because
Yeah.
we know that Elon Musk, like he just have a big problem with the South African government.
That's one part of it. That's one part of the problem. And the other is, remember, there's a conflict going on in Palestine at the moment, and South Africa was leading the case at the ICC to bring the aggressor to
To justice.
The invader.
justice.
Yes,
So, yes, so that is another aspect of it
of
as well.
course.
So they are
Of
attacking
course.
on two fronts. Bearing in
Two
mind,
fronts. Yeah.
yeah, that this is the
So the
same South
three,
Africa that we're talking about that went under apartheid and
Apartheid.
had to
yeah.
fight for
And
up
our and another one
recently as
too.
the last 30
Cause
years
this.
South Africa was independent, was under apartheid,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So South
Right.
Africa is still a new country.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And another front too. Remember that South Africa is a part of the BRICS too.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, of
South Africa is
course.
also a part of the BRICS. So
Mm-hmm.
fighting apartheid in Palestine, being a part of the BRICS, and then you talk about Elon Musk, you know what I mean, and somebody who grew up in
Don't press her.
apartheid in South Africa
Don't
and
press her.
benefit from apartheid,
His
you know what I mean?
ancestors are down pressers.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
yes, I. So
So
As what Bingy was saying earlier, to it put me in mind as well to kind of bring us forward to the reasoning of the economic act of dumping.
Mm,
Where these products that they're providing through USAID a lot of times are products that are not authorized for the US market. So because they're not authorized for the US market, they still have to find a way of offloading
mm,
these products. So they use like things like USAID
mm.
to offload these products that they have in bulk on people that don't have a stringent what's the term for that again?
Regulation.
disposable income.
Regulation.
Regulate, right? Regulated thing, where
Mm.
these things are regulated, where you can say, okay, we're not accepting this or we're not
Right.
accepting that. Whatever they get, they're gonna accept because a lot of times because of the situation they're in at the moment, and what the USA does is it dumps a lot of stuff that they are not able to use in their economy, in their market, in these areas, and make it look because it gives the optic as if we're helping.
and the dumping work both ways, do you know? So
Mm-hmm.
because you have a dumping where we talk about innovation, you also
Mm-hmm.
style for innovation. So
Innovation.
when you go and dump a bag of cheap or free stuff in a
Mm-hmm.
country, it
Mm-hmm.
that little man who is trying to develop their own, or that company who's trying to
Mm-hmm.
develop
Mm-hmm.
their product
Right.
gets, you know what I mean, shut down
Mm-hmm.
because they can't compete against
True.
something that's,
Well,
you
that's
know what I
part
mean,
of the
it's free.
foreign policy, the influence
Mm-hmm.
on foreign policy in
Right. Right.
development.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of it. For you to
True.
get this aid, there are certain policies you must follow, and part of
Mm-hmm.
that might be you not developing in this area or that area, whatever it
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And,
yeah,
and
They're giving
USAID
you
is the vehicle that they use to
mm-hmm.
overthrow some governments, to
right.
add to the
Yeah,
corruption
Yes, sir.
within some
yes,
governments,
Mm-hmm.
and political interference that goes on within some country. While most people would be thinking it's actually aid that they
Right.
are giving,
Mm-hmm.
but by extension, they are offering other services as well that is outsourced,
Mm-hmm.
which is to the
True.
detriment of the countries.
People, right, true. Because
Bad aid.
everything has a political agenda behind it.
yeah,
Yeah.
Everything has
yeah.
a political
That,
agenda
but that's
behind
how they use to infiltrate another country.
Hmm.
That's why as they were trying to give Venezuela aid, and they had to block all the trucks to come from coming in the Venezuela, because there was
it.
trying to a line of trucks. No, there was a line of trucks bringing food. So they're bringing food to Venezuela, and they had to block Venezuela to block all the trucks at the border, letting them, because they know that once those trucks come in,
Mm-hmm.
the
Them lose control.
the people that are bringing in the food need protection,
Mm-hmm.
Right,
and they are U.S. citizenship, and they need protection because that's how they infiltrate. You know, they send in the aid, and then the people that are who are giving the aid are U.S. citizens, so they need protection. So
right.
they are protected by the army.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, you see a government out of power.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's
Whole heap
that.
of machine, whole heap of machine running.
Yes, man.
Gosh, it's sad, you know.
Yeah, man, let them
Um,
go on, Rasta. Let them
yes,
go
Yeah,
sir.
on,
man. Yeah,
man.
man. It's maybe like maybe in the short term,
Uh-huh.
with the USC, they say people are hungry, people are starving,
Mm-hmm.
but I
The
think in the
long term
long term it
cost,
will work
the
out
long
there a
term
They
better.
cost
will,
is.
they will,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they will.
Yeah, man.
Listen,
And
those gaps always will be filled. It doesn't
and
matter.
we talk about Africa and Africa, the Pan-Africanists coming together. There is enough food in Africa to feed everybody. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Yes.
So African continue to step up and, you
And
know what I
provide
mean,
their own aid.
and provide their
Mhm.
own aid. Yeah,
And
man.
provide
Yes,
their own
yes.
aid. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're all feeling it. The winds of change are here. Africa is at a turning point, a strategic turning point, and it's up to us to choose self-reliance over dependency. To our listeners, let's keep this conversation going. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Follow us for more Pan African analysis. And remember, Africa's future is in Africa's hands.
Amandla.
I am Amandla. I am Rasdada, Brother Yaga, aka Teacher Maat, Bingi, Okavango
Asante
Doroguguru.
Sam.
Yes, I.
Yes,
Give
sir.
thanks. Do remember to like, share, and subscribe. And remember that them say, sometimes it's not every aid is good aid. So you have to be very careful who and what we accept as aid. You know? Give thanks.
Yes, sir.
And I said perfect balance, Trodclass. I don't know, say I talk for the lyrics for this represents. Good over evil, me tell them see a life over death.